We welcome the students for this important lecture of today. It is a continuation of the lectures which we had 1 month ago. We studied already about the cell and cell division. Today we are going to concentrate on the tissues, and specifically we are going to talk about the epithelial tissue. The first question is, it's very important to know what a tissue is. What do you understand by the term tissue? A tissue is a predominantly similar cells or predominantly similar cells specialized in a common direction and set apart for the performance of common functions. This is the definition of a tissue. It comes from the word tissue, a French word, and it was first introduced by the French morphologist by the name of B. Cat. Now, what are the components of these tissues, or a tissue in general? What is it made up of? You can see here from the board we have the components of the tissue. One, the tissue is made up of cells. This is the first point. Second, it is made up of intercellular substances. Intercellular substances. What do you mean by intercellular substances? These are substances which are found between the cells. And the third thing you have are fluids. And in particular, we have the so-called tissue fluid. What is tissue? What do you understand by the term tissue? As you can see here, tissue is the title. Tissue comes from the French word tissu. It was first introduced into anatomic use thanks to the works of a French morphologist by the name of B. Cat. We have 4 basic tissues. The definition of tissue. What is the definition of tissue? Tissue is predominantly similar cells. Predominantly similar cells, specialized in a common direction and set apart for the performance of common functions. In other words, cells of a tissues or a tissue is more or less are more or less similar. Now, we have 4 basic tissues, but before that, let us ask ourselves, what are the components of a tissue? What are the components of a tissue? What is it made up of? Tissue is made up of cells. 1. 2, it is made up of intercellular substances. Now, what do you understand by intercellular substance? Intercellular substances are those substances which are found between the cells. Number 3, we have fluid, or tissue fluid in particular. Now, the cells, numerically, the cells which are found in your body, they are in trillions. They are in trillions, numerically or quantitatively. And qualitatively, we have more than 200 types of cells. And all, yes. لو طفيته
إذا مقطع الأخير
أها. ايش كنا بنتكلم عنه؟ ها؟
2005 بس
Yeah. Numerically or quantitatively, the number of cells which are in your body are in trillions. And qualitatively, you have more than 200 types of cells. These cells are organized into 4 groups known as tissue. We have the epithelial tissue, we have the connective tissue, we have the muscular tissue, and we have the nervous tissue. Every tissue has got cells. Every tissue has got intercellular substances, and every tissue has fluid. The first, or the topic of today, is the epithelium. The epithelial tissue or epithelium. You either say epithelium or you say the epithelial tissue. This is the first tissue which you are going to encounter covering your body surfaces. It is the first line of defense. Now this tissue has got characteristics. What are the characteristics of epithelial tissue? We start first of all with definition, and then we come to the surfaces of the epithelium, and then we come to the origin of the epithelium, and then we come to the basement membrane which is underlying the epithelium, and the avascularity of epithelium, renewal of epithelium, and functions of the epithelium. The first point is the definition. What is the definition of epithelium? Epithelium are closely opposed cells with very little or no intercellular substances between them. In other words, the cells are very close together. You'll see that between the cells you have got very little intercellular substances. This is what we call the epithelium. And this definition distinguishes the epithelium from all the other 3 types of tissues. Second, the epithelium has got 3 surfaces. It has got 3 surfaces. The first surface is apical. If this is an epithelial cell, this area which is found above here, this is the superficial area, we call this the apical surface of the epithelium. And we call this the lateral surface of the epithelium, and we call this the basal surface of the epithelium. That means they have 3 surfaces. The apical surface of the epithelium contains modifications. These are known as the superficial modifications of the epithelium. For example, you can have what is known as the microvilli, a cell whose apical surface is occupied by microvilli. These types of cells, you can find them in the small intestine. The purpose of the microvilli is to increase the surface area and to facilitate the process of absorption. Some other cells have got cilia. Cilia are hair-like processes which project from the apical surface of the epithelium. These type of cells, or these types of epithelial cells, you will find them where? In the respiratory tract, and you can also find them where? In the fallopian tube. Another projection known as the stereocilia, they are also found where? In the surface, in the superficial surface. The stereocilia are actually very long microvilli. They are found in the epididymis, or the storage of the spermatozoans. This structure is found in the testis. In the lateral side of the epithelium, between a cell and a cell laterally, you have what is known as the junction, or many junctions. You have got the first one is known as the occluding junctions, the adherence junctions, the desmosome, and you also have the gap junctions. This is as far as the surfaces are concerned. We also have the origin. What are the origin of the epithelial structures? Epithelial structures are found everywhere. They originate from the ectoderm, the mesoderm, and the endoderm. The external part, your external part of your body, all the epithelium which is covering the external part originate from the ectoderm. For example, the skin of the mammary gland is made up of epithelium and connective tissue. The mammary glands, the sweat glands, the sebaceous glands, all of these glands are made up of epithelium, and this epithelium originates from the ectoderm. The skin has got an epithelium which is known as epidermis. They originate from the ectoderm. You also have got the nails. You also have got the lacrimal glands. Most of these structures, all the hair follicles, all of these originate from the ectoderm. Second, all the epithelium which is covering the GIT, the gastrointestinal tract, they originate from where? They originate from the endoderm. For example, if you go to the oral cavity, you will find that the oral cavity is covered by moist epithelium or moist mucosa. The first layer of this mucosa is known as the epithelium. Now this epithelium is what? It's originally from the endoderm. You go to the esophagus, which is part of the GIT. They originate from the endoderm. You go to the stomach, you go to the small intestine, and you go to the large intestine, and you go to the liver, you go to the pancreas, you go to the gallbladder. All these structures have epithelium, and these epithelium originate from the endoderm. Therefore, epithelium originates from the endoderm and from the ectoderm, and they also originate from the mesoderm. We have got two very important epithelium which originate from the endoderm. These are the endothelium, which line the blood vessels, and the mesothelial cells which line the body cavities. Between the epithelium and the connective tissue, you have what is known as the basement membrane. And we are going to see, you read more, and this is an orientation. Basement membrane is made up of both the epithelium and the connective tissue. Remember that the epithelium is avascular. What do you mean by avascular? It means that they don't have blood vessels. From where do they get their nutrition? They get their nutrition from the connective tissue, which is found below. In the connective tissue, we have blood vessels. We have lymphatic vessels. Of course, these blood vessels are going to supply the tissue fluid, which carries nutrients for the epithelium. The epithelium renews. If you compare between epithelium, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and the nervous tissue, you will find that the epithelial tissue is the one which renews. They constantly renew, like the skin. Approximately every month it is being renewed. Then we come to the functions of the epithelium. The functions of epithelium, the function may be either major or minor. By major we mean pass, in order not to forget. Pass. Pass is what? P-A-S. P-A-S. You have got the P-A-S. Remember, you will not forget this. What does pass mean? The word pass, what does it mean? Pass is a stain we use in histology to stain the carbohydrate. One. Pass is peace in Spanish language. When you say Pacific, it means that you are a Pacific person. You are a man of peace. P stands for protection, A stands for absorption, and S stands for secretion. Protection, absorption, and secretion. These are the major functions of the epithelium. The epithelium also have got minor functions. One of them is sensory, and the other one is contractile. What do you mean by contractile and what do you mean by sensory? For example, the taste bud is responsible for the sense of taste. The epithelium is known as the neuroepithelium, and their cells are sensory to taste. Contractile cells are another type of cells which contract. They are found around the secretory units of the glands. When they contract, the gland secretion is pushed forward. Therefore, regarding the characteristics of the epithelium, the first thing we said was the definition. Closely opposed cells with little or no intercellular substances between them. We said that they have three surfaces: apical surfaces, lateral surfaces, and the basal surface. The origin is ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. They have the underlying basement membrane between them and the connective tissue. They are avascular, that means they don't have blood vessels, and they obtain their nutrition from the connective tissue. And they renew, they're in constant renewal. And the functions are two major functions. One of them is major and the other one is minor. The major functions are what? Protection, absorption, and secretion. And the minor functions are what? Sensory and contractile. Now, how do we classify? How do we classify the epithelium? The epithelium is classified into four. One, you have got the epithelial membranes, which cover and line the surfaces. You have got the epithelial glands. You have got the myoepithelium, and you have got the neuroepithelium. These are the four members of the classification of the epithelium. Now, the epithelial membranes are what? They cover the skin. They cover the GIT. That means they cover surfaces. They are the first line of defense. The second line of defense is the connective tissue. These epithelial membranes can either be simple or be pseudostratified epithelium or stratified epithelium. By simple epithelium, what do we mean? It is made up of only one layer, made up of only one layer. For example, here you have simple squamous, simple cuboidal, and simple columnar. These are the three types, or important types, of course, of the simple epithelium. What do you understand by simple squamous? I'm in addition to this lecture, which is it is not really a lecture, it is an orientation. I'm orienting you exactly how you're going to read and how you're going to study. And then I am going to include a data show which contains a lot of pictures. A lot of pictures. You will understand this in details. In addition, that you are going to see these pictures also in your practical classes. Now this is simple squamous. The simple squamous means what? The cells are flat. A question: where do you have these types of epithelial? Where do you have the simple squamous epithelium? You will find them, for example, in the alveolus. You will find them, for example, in the blood capillaries or in blood vessels in general. Now, the simple epithelium or simple squamous epitheliums are found in areas of exchange. In areas of exchange. And then you have got the simple cuboidal. Now the simple cuboidal, you'll find that all the surfaces are equal. In this apical surface and the lateral surface, all of them are equal. This is simple cuboidal. It is made up of a group of cells, of course. Another cuboidal and another cuboidal. All right, another cuboidal. This type, where do you have them? You will see them, for example, in the kidney tubules. You see them in the kidney tubules. And you have got the third one, which is simple columnar. Now the simple columnar, you find that the simple columnar is a cylindrical long cell. This is a cylindrical long cell. Now, you'll find that these types of cells are found, for example, in the stomach. They are found, for example, in the small intestine. These cells could be ciliated. Some of them have cilia, and some of them are secretory, and some of them have got microvilli. These are the three types of simple squamous, simple epithelium. It is squamous, cuboidal, and columnar. And then you have the pseudo-stratified. What do you mean by pseudo? Pseudo means false. Pseudo means false. Now, the pseudo-stratified epithelium appear to be stratified, but they are not. They appear to be stratified but they are not. Why? Because they have got two types of cells. Some cells are long and the other cells are short. Some of cells are long and the other cells are short. And you find that the nuclei are found in different locations. Because they are found in different locations, they give you an impression that this epithelium is stratified. It is not stratified. It is actually simple. Look at this cell. It starts from the base to the apex. But they have got different sizes. These are the stem cells, and here you have got the long cells. In addition, here you can have also what is known as the goblet cells, which we are going to speak about them. And then you have stratified. What do you mean by stratified epithelium? Stratified epithelium is the epithelium which is made up more than one layer. More than one layer. The first layer, the first type is stratified squamous. And these stratified squamous are two types, keratinized and non-keratinized. And then you've got the stratified cuboidal, which are found in some ducts of glands. And you also have another type which is known as stratified columnar cells. Stratified columnar cells. And you have what is known as the transitional. Let me remind you of one thing very important. Till now, what I am doing is just describing. But remember, histology is not description. Histology is not the study of the structure only. It is the study of the structure and the correlation between structure and function. It is the correlation between structure and function. We must know, for example, why is symbol squamous squamous? Symbol squamous. Why is this symbol cuboidal? Why is this symbol columnar? We must correlate between the structure and the function. What about the stratified? Why are they stratified? What is the difference between a stratified and a symbol? A stratified squamous epithelium, for example, you will find them in areas of friction. An area where you have friction. For example, in the oral cavity, in the skin, you'll find this type of epithelium, which is a stratified epithelium. Anything you can touch with your finger is a stratified epithelium. All right? Simple cuboidal, stratified cuboidal and columnar are very rare. The most important one is the transitional epithelium. This transitional epithelium is known as uri-epithelium or uro-epithelium or urinary epithelium, because it is found, for example, in the urinary bladder. The cells which are found in the superficial here are known as the umbrella cells. These umbrella cells, they become umbrella-like when the urine is less. When the urinary bladder is full of urine, they become transformed to flat cells. This is all about the membranes. Till now we have spoken about membranes, the epithelial membranes. We talked about the symbol, the pseudostratified, and the stratified. The book contains a lot of information about this, so many details. But I have now, what I'm doing now is giving you some kind of orientation of what you are supposed to read at home. Then we come to the glands. You hear a lot about glands. What is glands? What do you understand by glands? What is the definition of gland? What is the definition of gland? Gland is one or more cells specialized in secretion. One or more cells specialized in secretion. Glands are extension of surface epithelium. We classify glands according to what? How do we classify the glands? We classify gland according to duct, according to cell, according to mode, according to nature, according to shape, and according to branching. Now when you say, I am classifying the gland according to duct, what do you want to say? I want to say that the presence or absence of duct. If the gland contains duct, we call it exocrine. If it does not contain duct and the secretion goes to the blood directly, we call it endocrine gland. The word exo means what? Outside. And the word endo means inside. The word crine means secretion. Therefore, secretion externally and secretion internally. This is what. Therefore, according to the presence or absence of duct, there are some organs or some glands which are both exocrine and endocrine. An example is the pancreas. Pancreas is exocrine because it secretes enzyme. It is an endocrine because it secretes insulin, for example. Now, when we say we classify the gland according to cell, what do we want from the cell? By the cell, we mean the number of the cells. If the gland is made up of one cell only, we call it unicellular gland. If it is made up of multi or thousands of cells, we call them. We also classify the gland according to the cell. What about the cell? The number of the cells. There are cells which are made up of only, or glands which are made up of only one cell. These glands are known as unicellular glands. An example is the so-called goblet cell. Most of the glands are made up of thousands of cells. These glands are known as multicellular gland. Multicellular gland. Then we come to the mode of secretion. How does the cell secrete? How does the cell secrete? There are three ways in which cells secrete. Three ways. One way is known as merocrine. Second one is known as apocrine. And the third one is known as holocrine. Merocrine means what? The secretion goes out of the cell alone. Like the enzymes, for example. They go out alone. These type, and they go through the process known as exocytosis. Only the secretion. This is what we call the merocrine. The apo means what? Apo from the apical. The secretion and the apical portion of the cell is secreted. The apical portion or part of the cytoplasm is lost. Part of the cytoplasm is lost, the superficial. And you have the holocrine. What do you mean by holo? By holo, we means all the gland. All the cells of the gland, they die first of all, and after death they are secreted. These are the so-called sebaceous gland. When you see the secretions which are found in your body, the nature of secretions, what do you mean by the nature of secretion? A secretion can be watery, a secretion can be waxy, a secretion can be fatty, a secretion can be serous, a secretion can be mucus. For example, in the oral cavity, we have got two major types, the serous and the mucus. And we are going to discuss then the differences between them later on. Then we come to the shape of the secretory unit. The shape of the secretory unit, for example, you have got the serous. This is a serous. This is an example of a serous, and this is an example of a mucus secretory unit. You can see that there's a big difference between these two. Now, what does the serous secrete? They secrete watery. They secrete watery secretion which contains enzymes. And the mucus, they secrete, of course, viscous substances. Viscous means the viscosity is very high. Now these are the two important. Then at home, I want you to find the differences between the serous and the mucus. As you can see from the picture here, for example, you have got about three differences. This one is large, the lumen here is large, and the nucleus here is what? Flat and peripheral. These three differences, I can see them from the picture here. And I try to find more differences too, about 10 differences between the serous and the mucus secretory unit. Secretory unit. Then this is with regard to the shape. Okay, some of the secretory units are mixed. You can find here. It's serous. It is serous and mucus. This is This one is the serous, and this one is the mucus. We call this as a mixed secretory unit. It contains both the serous and the mucus. This cap here, of the half moon is known as demilunus. It's known as the demilunus. Then, these are the characteristics. This is how we classify the glands. We classify them according to the presence or absence of ducts, according to the number of cells, according to the mode of secretion, according to the nature of secretion, according to the shape of the secretory unit, according to whether they branch or they don't branch. What branches? The duct. If the duct does not branch, we call the gland simple. If the duct branches, we call it compound. After that, you have the gland in general. It is made up of two portions. A gland is made up of two portions. One of them is the secretory unit, and the second one is the secretory units of the parenchyma, and the other one is the stroma. Parenchyma and the stroma. What is the difference between the parenchyma and the stroma? The parenchyma is the active portion of the gland. What is the active portion of the gland? These are the secretory portions of the gland. These are the cells which secrete. This is what we call the parenchyma. And the duct also are included. It means the secretory unit and the duct, all of them are epithelium. What is the stroma? The stroma is the connective tissue which surrounds which embeds and surrounds what? The parenchyma. And it is made up of capsule, trabecula, and reticular fibers. طبعا هذا واجب منزلي، مجموعة من الأسئلة هي مش سهلة على فكرة. حاولوا يعني جاوبوا عليها وترسلوها لي عن طريق الواتس. اللي هي مرتبطة بالfunctional correlation between structure and function. أنا ما يكفينيش structure only، لازم تقول لي أهميتها، كيف التركيب يتناسب مع الوظيفة. السؤال الأول: What type of epithelium is suitable for exchange? Number 2, what type of epithelium is suitable for protection? What type of epithelium is suitable for secretion? What are the characteristics of cells which secrete protein, which secrete mucus, which secrete carbohydrate, which secrete steroid? What are the characteristics of cells which are specialized in absorption? طبعا الابزوربشن موجود فين؟ موجود الابزوربشن في السمول intestine والproximal convoluted tubule. What type of epithelium is suited for transport؟ ايش المقصود transport؟ يعني عملية النقل اللي موجودة في الفالوبيان تيوب والقصبة الهوائية. What type of epithelium is suitable for active transport؟ for excretion اللي هي عملية الإخراج. What type of epithelium is suited for contraction, for sensation, for lubrication, for distension. المقصود بالdistension هو الانتفاخ من الداخل، في نوع من النسيج بيتكيف مع هذه المشكلة، مشكلة الdistension. And which epithelium are specialized, which are best suited for reproduction. لاحظ في حاجة اسمها germinal epithelium. الجيرمينال epithelium اللي هي بتكون الحيوانات المنوية. طبعا هنا داخل المنطقة هذه طبعا عند الرجل في كمية هائلة جدا من السيل ديفيجن أو الانقسام اللي بتؤدي في النهاية إلى تكوين اللي بيسموه بالليش الحيوانات المنوية. وبعدها في حاجة اسمها polarization. البولاريزيشن لو نجي نترجمها بالعربي نقول عنها القطبية. ايش القطبية؟ يعني فوق، يعني تحت، يعني يمين، يعني يسار. صح. مثلا الابيثيليوم قلنا فيها ابيكال، صح، وفيها لاترال، صح، وفيها بيزل. طبعا اين موقع الجولجي اباراتس في الخلية؟ above the nucleus، فوق النوكليوس أو تحت النوكليوس. What about the mitochondria؟ وين موقع الميتوكوندريا؟ وين موقع smooth endoplasmic reticulum؟ هل هذه هي موجودة بطريقة عشوائية أو لها ترتيب خاص داخل الخلية؟ طبعا. and عندك حاجة اسمها الهايبربليجيا اللي هي زيادة. ما المقصود بالهايبربليجيا والهايبوبليجيا والابليجيا؟ يعني تلاقي واحد عنده كلى، لما تيجي تبحث عن أسباب تلاقي في مشكلة في epithelium في الانقسامات طبعا. أو تلاقي مثلا ناس ما عندهمش أسنان خالص، إذا كان في عيب في انقسامات داخل الابيثيليوم، هذه بنسميها ايش؟ بالابيثيليال أو اكتوديرمال ديسبليجيا. طبعا هذه مجموعة من الأسئلة يرجى الرد عليها. طبعا أنا عندي مجموعة ثانية طبعا من الأسئلة الصورية اللي هي practical pictures، عامل فيها MCQ اللي هي عملية الايدنتيفيكيشن. إضافة إلى ذلك عندي أمثلة تقريبا حوالي 60 سؤال MCQ فقط في الابيثيليوم. هذه برسلها مع البرنامج طبعا كامل. ونتمنى اللقاء إن شاء الله في محاضرة جاي إن شاء الله. لو أي مشكلة معك أي حاجة تتواصل معي، يعني معروفة طبعا، رقمي معروف لدى الكل، وأي إشكالية أي سؤال كون اسأل بس، صح. وطبعا في مجموعة بيراسلوني باستمرار، أو ممكن ترتبوها عن طريق المندوب، تجيبوا الأسئلة كاملة ويبدأ، أو عن طريق البرنامج. صح، معنا موقع خاص عن طريق الموقع نفسه. يعني عندي اللي بيسأل أهم من اللي يعني السؤال مهم جدا. when you ask it means you want to learn, it means that you know. إيش قال؟ يعني سمعتوا عن اللي اكتشفوا DNA اللي هو واتسون اند كريك، يقول لك asking the right question is half the answer or is half the battle of the answer. يقول لك السؤال الصح الصحيح هي نصف معركة الإجابة. وتمنياتي لكم بالتوفيق إن شاء الله، نلتقي على خير.